to the Food Professor podcast and the Last Request Barbecue show. How are you?
I'm good. I'm happy it's Sunday and we get to clean up and rest.
Well, thanks so much for making time after me after service. You're open Saturdays, Sundays, busy time. So thanks very much for sitting down. It's nice to meet you in person. I think I first saw you on a YouTube show. You were cooking how to do a brisket in the backyard.
Yeah, Derby.
With Derby guys, yeah. And you were pitmaster there for a couple of years?
Yeah, almost 3.
Almost 3 years. Now, you've been pitmaster around the world, too. You were in Europe, too, right?
Yeah. So I got to work at a barbecue restaurant in Norway and one in Egypt.
Fantastic.
Nothing like Texas, of course, right?
Sure. Now, where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
I'm from Brownsville, Texas, so the tip of Texas, very south.
And tell me about Lockhart. It looks like a town being remade. Like I'm driving around and construction everywhere.
Yeah, it's going through this revival. When we got here, it had already started booming a little bit, but now there's a lot more businesses being open and small business owners too that are able to create and live out their dream and open up their own little shop.
Reading about you were always wanting to open your own place. Did this place pop up in the list of top 5, or how did you come across Lockhart?
So I knew I wasn't going to open back home, and I knew that I wanted to stay near Central Texas. And I knew that although Austin is awesome, it would probably keep us very busy. I needed somewhere where I could feel out my dream and have it make sense with what we're working with. So I think Lockhart is very special. It's very unique, very charismatic and magical town that smells like barbecue.
My goodness, is it ever? It's some very old school barbecue here, right? The big logs piled out back, and you walk in with those ginormous pits. That must be smoking hot in summer.
Yeah,
man.
I didn't have the intention of opening at the barbecue capital of Texas. It just happened to be near the area that I wanted, and it just happened to be. And now we're adding to the history of the barbecue capital of Texas. So that's really cool.
So tell me about Barb's. Tell me about the food. I ate here. It's wonderful. It's amazing. The green spaghetti kind of is an inspiration. You know what Daniel Vaughn said recently? I'm not to put words in his mouth. He basically said the top tier of barbecue places have pretty much all figured out how to do brisket pretty well.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like table stakes if you're in the top, whatever, right? And then the differentiators tend to be all the other things. Is that the way you think of it as well?
Absolutely. I think within the past 5 years, because of YouTube, because of just the access to media and people like Derby who were so willing to share to the world their techniques and stuff, that everyone started becoming really good at brisket, because kind of that barrier of all these secret pitmaster techniques were sort of not so secret anymore. Now everyone is a pretty good brisket cook. I think you can find really good brisket anywhere in Texas, and that's really awesome. But at the end of the day, still, I think most barbecue restaurants, when you grab a tray, a lot of the meats start tasting the same. And for us with Barb's, we wanted every meat to have a distinct flavor. All of our sides, I like to think of them to be in some way comforting and homemade, that you can tell that there's just uniqueness and
there's a little more thought. I think everyone puts a lot of thought and passion into the food. You can kind of taste it, right? Tell me about the customers you get here. I've been to a couple of places in Lockhart, and the customer groups seem a little different to me. Who comes here? Who's your customer?
The people who come here are the people who really want to come here. I don't think it's anyone who is a typical barbecue person. I wouldn't say. If anything, it's more so creatives and foodies. And
I was sitting beside some people from Austin. They were here for a guy's birthday, and they fit right into that kind of thing. They came here just because of your reputation. Now, speaking of which, some funny French guys stopped by, the Michelin guys, and gave you a designation. That's really great, right?
Yeah, we got a little scared there because, from the beginning, I completely thought we wouldn't be part of the judging just because we're outside of those cities, but I'm very glad that they considered us.
Yeah, right on. and I guess it's the new list for Texas Monthly Magazine comes out this year, I think, right? Every 4 years?
Those 4 years flew by, and it's just like, wow.
What's next for you?
We're a year and a half in. I think just now we're sort of almost done building the foundation. Like, it's still very much big, like a beginning to us. We only have one smoker, and that limits our food and limits our work so much. And I mean, the space is pretty small too, but I mean, for us, it's amazing because it's affordable for us, but at the same time, it's sometimes we get like waves of popularity, and it's like then people complain about not us having enough dining room, and so it's all these things. But what's next for us in the short-term run is that we're getting another rotisserie soon, so we'll have a 1,000-gallon smoker at a rotisserie, and that'll help us open one more day. And then after that, just continue just finding our flow with the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then we'll always have our staples like brisket, pork ribs, turkey, lamb chops, and the green spaghetti and the beans. But everything else kind of...
For you, that's your table stakes, right? Yeah. You're like, this is the foundation on what we're going to build a reputation and the service on, right? Last couple of questions for you. Advice. First, advice to all the junior, amateur pitmasters out there trying to figure out the best way to cook barbecue. And I've heard it said there's no tricks. It's just hard work and skill and practice, right? There's no tricks to it, which is actually, not a good question to ask, because it's not like you're coming up with magic. It's experience. You've been doing this for a long time. Notwithstanding, you've been doing this since you're young.
Yeah. I think my best advice is to write everything down in the beginning, like my first few years of learning the actual like cooking with the smoker. I would write everything down. I would write like how many pieces of wood I use, the temperature outside, if the briskets were small or big, how long the brisket cook was, when I went higher in temperature. And just, I tried it all, like anything and everything out there. Like, some people foil wrap, some people with
boats and all these different things, right?
So my best suggestion is there's no better way than to try it out and see for yourself. If it works for you, then it works for you.
Keep experimenting. Last question. There's lots of folks who have ambition and drive to open a place like this, and may or may not be barbecue. What's your advice to them?
I think it's really cool because I was very passionate about barbecue, but I didn't know that I had it in me to open something. And it was like more so the people around me who were pushing me and pitching in any way that they could to push me to dream bigger. Having that passion shows, and people will see that, and people will help you out, and it'll help.
Fantastic. Well, listen, congratulations on your success and cooking amazing food, and your people. It was all great. Great visiting you here in Lockhart, Texas. Thanks for joining me on the show.
Thank you.